Hey folks, this is Mike from Techaholica, and today I'm bringing you the first part of my Twitch bot tutorial series. So I'm not a professional developer or anything, but I do program on the side, and when I wrote other stuff like in C# or JavaScript, there's a lot of stuff out there on how to write that code. There's tutorials, there's books, there's blog posts, there's forums. When I got into writing, trying to make my own bot in Twitch, the information wasn't quite all there, and there's a lot of misleading information because, as you see later, that Twitch is built on top of this thing called IRC, and so writing scripts against IRC is a little bit different than writing for Twitch. So I kind of ran into a lot of roadblocks, and I finally got some stuff working. I have some bots that I'm proud of, and I wanted to show you how, if you want to get started, how you can start to write your own bots too. So let's jump in right now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off with a demo. And what I like to do is when I'm learning how to write new code, a new language, or trying out different techniques, I like to have an end goal in mind where I have a product at the end that I want to actually use that'll be useful. So I don't want to just like write script for the sake of writing a script just to learn it. I want to have like a goal in mind to keep working towards that. So my goal for this one is to write a slot machine bot. So basically you can play the slots, or your users can play slots in your chat while you're streaming. And you can do some other stuff too, I'll show you in a second. But basically, I'm going to walk you through how to set up your bot account, how to install mIRC, how to log into the mIRC client, basically a quick overview of how mIRC works and the windows that you have in there, and then I'll show you how to run multiple bots later, which is something, you may not need that for this particular example, but later on if you want to, say, have a bot that ran their slot machine, then you have another one that runs a chat bot and other kind of stuff, you can do that, right? So let's jump on to the demo right now. And so here I want to do these commands. So we're going to have a generic dance, then a dance party, which is an admin command. So both these commands don't really mean much. They're just text, but they kind of shows the two kind of commands you can do. You could have a regular user command, so anyone in the chat room could type in dance, but only admins or mods could do dance party. So this is there just to show you that kind of difference. The bet command, which is how you set your bet. So you can say, I want to bet $10, $100, I want to play slots. Cash, to show you how much money you currently have. Oh, my cat's coming to visit me. So cash will show you how much money you currently have. So what's going to happen is that users are going to have, and when they log in, the first time we're going to give them a set amount of money. The longer they stay in, the more money they kind of earn, plus whatever they get from winning the slots, right? So cash will show you your cash amount that you currently have. Add stats, this is another admin command, and this is useful for, like, say someone in your room ran out of money, then you could say, I want to give them an extra $100, right? And later on, if you want to add on to this, you could give people other stats too, right? And then you just change those stats through this command. And then play slots, of course, is the one where you actually do play the slots. So let's see how this works. Let me open up my Twitch interface here. All right, so here we are. You see I was already turning out a little bit. So first thing we want to do is dance. Alright, so there you go. So Techaholica, you do a little happy dance. But now I want to do dance party, which would only be useful for admins. If you weren't an admin, it would give you an error. So it says Techaholica starts a dance party. The other one is to do bet. So just bet by itself. Let's say I'm currently betting $100, so I want to change that to bet 10. So now I'm only betting $10 for gambling games, which is the only one we have right now is slots. We can add on to it later. Cash, how much money I currently have. So I have $490. And now I can do add stats. So I'm going to say I want to add to Techaholica. And I want to add to his cash. I want to add $100. Alright, so I just give myself $100. So now if I do cash, there you go, $590. So I gave myself a little extra cash. And then the big one is to play slots. Look at that. I just won. Good. And now let's do it again. See if I can win again. Now, you can see here that you could do, when you enter these commands, it's not case sensitive. So I can do capitalize, play slots, and see how that goes. And it went down. So there you go. So you kind of see how it's going to work out, right? So this is kind of our end goal of what we're working towards. So let's move on back. All right. So now we can see that a little bit. Now I got a separate bot account. So a bot account is nothing more than just a regular Twitch account that you just run the scripts on, right? So there's nothing special about it. You don't have to make it a mod if you don't want to, but you probably do because a regular user account is only allowed so many outputs a minute, whereas a mod you can do a lot more, right? So if your bot is constantly writing text to the chat room and it wasn't a mod, then it would get banned, or at least it gets silenced. Twitch does some stuff to keep people spamming it. But if you make their bot a mod, then it won't have the same regulations as a regular user. So what you gotta do is just make a new Twitch account, get a Gmail address, a Yahoo, whatever you want, create an email, and sign into Twitch. So I have my my regular streaming account is Techaholica, and my bot account is TechaBot. All right. And the other thing you need to do is to get this thing called an OAuth token. And what this is basically it's like a string representation of your password, right? Your account. So it's linked to you. And you go to this site called twitchapps.com, TMI. I'll put this in the description, so don't worry about that. And when you get there, you're going to see this window over here. And you're going to say, connect with Twitch and enter your credentials, and it'll spit out this OAuth token. Now keep in mind that the token is actually this whole thing, including the OAuth part. So record this, write it somewhere, and make sure don't show it to anybody. Also, if you ever come back here and click on connect to Twitch again, you're going to get a new token, and your old one won't work anymore. So keep that in mind. So now let's move on to the actual client we're going to use, which is mIRC. It's like I said earlier, it's built on top of this thing called IRC. It's basically a chat protocol, and it's been around for a long time, and Twitch is built on top of that, right? So the Twitch chat is built on top of this IRC chat. And if you look at how to write scripts, a lot of them are going to be how to write IRC scripts, which won't always work for the Twitch channel. Even though Twitch is built on top of IRC, they put a lot of regulations, right? They try to do stuff so that you can't like spam the chat and you can't do a bunch of other stuff, right? So you have some roadblocks with writing stuff for Twitch specifically that you wouldn't have if you were writing just sort of regular mIRC script bot. So what you're going to do is download this tool, which is the link right there, and just install like any other tool you would. Now, one thing we've done is that you might want to set up a desktop shortcut to appdata mIRC %appdata %mIRC. And what this is a Windows environment variable. What that means is that when you type this in, Windows looks up what it actually means, and it'll probably map it to this kind of directory where username is your Windows login. And so it's going to map it to this spot right here. And this directory here is where you're going to have all your scripts and everything else that goes along with IRC. So your mIRC, when you install it, it's going to install it to your program files or whatever, but it's actually going to pull information from this directory here. And so you're going to have to go in there to like update your scripts and whatnot. So you might want to just make a desktop shortcut. Just right click on your desktop, say new shortcut, and then paste in this address here, the appdata mIRC. That way you can get to it really easy when you need to. So, all right. So now we're going to log in to mIRC or Twitch with mIRC, right? There's a guide here on the Twitch channel that I'll put in the description, and this will walk you through everything, so you don't have to worry about this too much. But basically, the server is going to be IRC twitch.tv with the port 667. You're going to give a nickname, which is going to be your bot name. It has to be all lowercase. So in this case, TechaBot for here. Your OAuth password. This is an example there. Obviously, this isn't mine. Which remember to include the whole part, include the OAuth part here in the beginning. So this is going to be your password right there. And then when you connect to your channel, you're going to want to connect to pound or hashtag Techaholica or whatever your streaming channel is, right? So in this case, TechaBot is my user I'm logging in with, which is my bot account, and I'm going to connect to my streaming account at Techaholica, right? So let's look at this real fast. How do we do this? All right. So here we are. So I'm already logged in. But what you're going to do is when you first start it up, you're going to have something like this, where you're going to be here, and it's going to say, okay, nickname, alternatives. Let's make both these your lowercase bot name. You can go to servers. So you're probably going to have a lot of servers here. Just delete all those. You probably don't need them. They're just going to get in the way. So you can delete them, and you can add ones back later that you actually use. Then you're going to say add. I already added mine, so I just do edit to see how it looks. But you're going to click add, and then you're going to give it a description, call it whatever you want, and then make sure you have the irc.twitch.tv as your server. Your port is 6667. Now group is just, it's going to put it in this folder here, so you can put it wherever you want to. And then password is that OAuth password we talked about earlier, right? So make sure you include that OAuth part. Then you're going to say OK, and then you're going to connect to it, right? You can connect with this icon up here, and this will take you to there, right? So I'm just going to disconnect here, and then reconnect so you can see how it looks. So there you go. We're connected to our server, and you're going to have a lot of other channels here that you want to connect to. These channels are the various channels you can connect to, but just go and delete all those that are in there. You come up here and type in, you know, whatever you want to connect to, right? So I already got Techaholic in there, but you would just say join or say add and then join. I already have mine, so I'm just going to connect to it and join, and now I'm in. So that's how you connect to it, right? And real fast, I guess we can go through this a little bit on how to get around here. So this is the next part we're going to do, is actually what actually this is, right? So let's take a look at our next slide, which is basically, okay, so we're talking about the various windows, right? So you have the chat window, the status, the script editor. This is the really important part right here, which is basically where you're going to write your scripts. And so we'll talk about that right now. Let's go back to IRC. All right, so status is basically, you know, it's a status window. This is where we're going to have different status messages come in. You're going to have errors come in here. You're going to have messages from the server here. You get enter commands here. This is also where if you just do like a, later on I'll show you how to do this, but in your script you can just write a general output and not choose a channel of where you want to write the output to, and that'll write here to the status message here, the status box here. Once you connect, you're going to have this chat window. So this is actually my Twitch channel, right? So if I bring up my Twitch channel here, all that you see right here is actually in this window here. So you can log into a channel and chat with people without even watching the stream. You know, you don't have to bring up a browser or anything. You can connect right to it. And here you have all the users and then all the chat information here, right? So what you want to do is you want to bring up your scripting editor. So I do Alt-R to bring it up. You can also do Tools, Script Editor, and here you go. So the one you really care about the most is going to be this remote tab. But let's go through all of them real fast. So alias are basically short commands. So what it's saying here is that if I do /ping, it's actually going to run this command here, right? If I do /send, it's going to run this command. So this is your alias one. So if you have, once you get more familiar with IRC, you can write your own commands. If you're always doing the same command over and over again, right? Like you're loading the script and doing some other stuff, you can create a little alias here. And that way when it loads up, you can just type that one short command and it'll do the big long command instead for you. Pop-ups, these are like, you know, I'll also show you here that when you click alias, you have this drop down here changes, so you can actually go through the various, so if you have like, you know, 100 aliases here, you can get some this way if you want to. And then pop-ups, so these are the messages that you get, the menus that you can create. So you can see here there's a server menu with these various commands, and server would have them all here, right? I don't mess with this too much. You can also do like right-click commands. So like these, you know, you can configure this kind of stuff too. So later on, if you really want to get handy with it, you can add those kind of pop-up actions there. Remote, this is going to be where you actually write your script. When you first start this, it's going to be in your scripts directory. It's going to be called remote.ini. It's kind of how these are, you know, scripts popups.ini and scripts aliases.ini. Well, I wrote my own, right, my own bot, so I'm using my own script. I'm not overriding the remote.ini. I created a new script, and I'm putting in this subdirectory Tekaslots, and I call it tekaslots.ini. So this is my actual script right here, my bot that I'm running right now. Users, I don't really know too much about this. I think this is how you like set permissions and group permissions and all that kind of stuff. I don't know if it really applies to Twitch or not. I've never used it. Variables, this is what you might want to use every now and then. So in your script here, you're going to set like a, you know, here I'm setting an environment variable config file. And so you'll see that being set over here, right? So you can see what the actual contents of a variable is over here. This is kind of nice, you know, mainly for like debugging. Like if I'm doing something, I can set a variable, like come over here and look at this and see that was it set to the value I thought it would be. So that's helpful in that way. But really, this is where you're going to spend all your time on this remote tab. And make sure you do file, new, create a new script, put it somewhere else. Don't overwrite the remote.ini one. Also kind of weird that I've done in the past is make sure you're on the right tab. Make sure you're on the remote tab when you say, so when if you want to load your script up, you can say file load. But make sure you're on this tab. I've done in the past where I'd be on one of these tabs here. and I'll say file load, and I'll load my script file into the variables tab, right? Which won't work at all because variables isn't what that does. So I don't screw everything up. So make sure you're on remote before we say file load, and your scripts will be stored in this .ini file extension, which is kind of weird. But once you look at, if you actually look at the file, so let's look at how it looks. So let's just open this up in Notepad. You can see that actually is like an ini file with the header and then the various lines here, you know. So this is actually behind the scenes what it's doing. You never want to come in here and edit it this way, but that's why it's being stored in an ini file. It's kind of interesting. So let's get rid of that. All right. And so let's move on back. All right, so last thing I want to do is talk about creating multiple bots. So like I said, I have my TechaBot who's running basically all my scripts from the bots, right? So I only have one bot running these various scripts. But if you want to break it up and say, well, actually, what I do is I have a separate account. So I have TechaBot running my bot, my scripts. Then I have another one called TechaDrunk, who's basically just like a chat bot who just goes in my chat room and just says stuff, and it plays a slot machine and stuff like that, right? So he needs to be his own account because in the chat window he needs to show up as TechaDrunk and not TechaBot doing it, right? So I created a second IRC installation, and so I can run two bots at the same time under two different accounts. And the way you do that is you go to that app data mIRC, and you just copy this IRC folder to a new one, right? Call it whatever you want, IRC2, right? Just make sure you copy the entire contents there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to create these desktop icons, right? So you might already have a desktop shortcut. You're going to want to right-click that shortcut and modify it, and probably change the name of it too, right? It's going to have, under the target field, it's going to have this, the directory of where you installed IRC. You want to add this -r app data mRC for your regular bot, right? This is going to be, you know, your first bot. Make sure there's no spaces in it, right? -r mRC, and then you're going to make a copy of that shortcut and modify that shortcut target to be the second IRC directory that you have. So app data mRC2. All right, so I'll show you how that looks right here. Let me go to my desktop real fast. All right, so you can see here I have my TechaBot one. And if I do properties on this shortcut, you can see that I have the R app data mRC. So that's the regular IRC one, the default one. But then I have this one called TechaDrunk, which is a secondary bot I run. And you can see here that I have the IRC TechaDrunk. So I created a new IRC directory under app data, copied the entire contents, and I created a new shortcut here called TechaDrunk. So that's how you can run. If I double click each of these, I'll have two instances of mRC up. Both I can log in with different accounts and do stuff with them. So that's basically all I have for this first session. We're going to continuously build onto this slot machine script as we move along with the various lessons. So stay tuned. See you guys next time.